Hello and welcome. On page 99 of your Marieb workbook, you'll find exercise 7, the integumentary system. We're going to go ahead and go through the answers. So page 99, even though I see 44 at the bottom, you're going to find it in your book on page 99. So let's go ahead and go through the answers here together. So the basic structure of the skin. Number 1 asks us to complete the following statements by writing the appropriate word or phrase on the blank line. The superficial region of the skin is the epidermis. Epi means above or upon, and derm is skin. So this is going to be the most outer area of our skin, composed of stratified squamous epithelial tissue. So the squamous, remember the squished cells? Okay. Stratified means that they're layers, one on top of the other. Number 2, the deeper region tissue is the dermis, composed of connective tissue. Number 3, the most numerous cell of the epidermis is the keratinocytes. Cyte is for cell, and then keratin. Number 4, the 2 primary layers of the dermis are the papillary dermis, composed of areolar connective tissue, and the reticular dermis, composed of dense, irregular connective tissue. Number 2, 4 protective functions of the skin are A, insulates and cushions the underlying tissues. B, protects the body from abrasion. C, protects the body from harmful chemicals. D, prevents water loss from internal reserves. Moving into question number 3, using the key choices, choose all responses that apply to the following descriptions. Some terms are used more than once. 1, the layer of translucent cells in thick skin containing dead keratinocytes. That is D stratum lucidum, lucid. Okay? That's the translucent, lucid. 2, 2 layers containing dead cells. That would be stratum corneum and stratum lucidum. 3, dermal layer responsible for fingerprints. That's the papillary dermis. 4, the epidermal layer exhibiting the most rapid cell division. That's the stratum basale, or that basement layer. It makes sense that that's most rapid cell division because that's where they're coming from. 5, the layer including the scale-like dead cells full of keratin that constantly slough off. That's the stratum corneum. 6, the layer named for the numerous granules present. Granules, okay? Stratum granulosum. 7, location of the melanocytes and tactile epithelial cells. Melanocytes is the darker brown coloring. Cyte means cell. This is the stratum basale. 8, area in which the web-like pre-keratin filaments first occur. This is going to be the stratum spinosum. 9, deep layer of the dermis. That's the reticular dermis. 10, layer that secretes a glycolipid that prevents water loss from the skin. Glyco for sugar, lipid for fat. This is the stratum granulosum. Next page. So filling in the pictures that you see here. So for the picture that you see here, right here you can see the hair follicle. Here you can see the erector pili muscle. A little teeny tiny muscle. That erector pili muscle is going to make the hair stand on end. Think of it for our goosebumps. Hypodermis area right here. Hypo is below. Derm is the dermis right here. So it's below the dermis. Moving over here, we can see the eccrine sweat glands. Now, E for eccrine, E for everybody. Everybody has these. These are everywhere throughout our body, or most everywhere throughout our body. As opposed to the apocrine, remember that's at puberty. A for apocrine, at puberty. Or that's also going to be in our armpits. So eccrine, everybody, just normal everyday sweat. Okay. We see the dermis here, and then above the dermis, epidermis, because above we're seeing epi meaning above. So hypo below, epi above, and then the dermal layer right there. You can see the hair shaft, the hair root, and the sebaceous or the oil gland. Remember, sebaceous or sebum is oil. Sudoriferous is sweat. Okay. 5, label the layers here of the epidermis in thick skin. Then complete the statements that follow below. So we're looking here at the different layers. So stratum or stratospheres, okay, the different layers. So let's start at the bottom or the basement layer, stratum basale, the base. Stratum spinosum comes next. Stratum granulosum, stratum lucidum, and stratum corneum. A, glands that respond to rising androgen levels are the sebaceous oil glands. So think about those androgens as your hormones, right? And at puberty, we get a little bit oilier skin and more acne. B, dendritic or Langerhans cells are epidermal cells that play a role in the immune response. C, tactile corpuscles are located in the papillary dermis. D, lamellar corpuscles are located deep in the dermis. Question 6. What substance is manufactured in the skin and plays a role in calcium absorption elsewhere in the body? This is vitamin D. 7. List the sensory receptors found in the dermis of the skin. We'll see free nerve endings for pain and temperature. So your pain is going to be nociceptors. Temperature is going to be thermoreceptors. We'll see tactile corpuscles for touch in the hairless skin, and the lamellar corpuscles, or what we might also see as Pacinian corpuscles for pressure and vibration. Next page, accessory organs of our skin. Number 8, match the key choices with the appropriate description. Some terms are used more than once. 1, tiny muscles attached to hair follicles that pull the hair upright during fright or cold, or your goosebumps or making your hair stand on end. Those are the erector pili muscles. 2, sweat gland with a role in temperature control. Temperature control is going to be for everybody almost everywhere. So it's the eccrine sweat gland. 3, sheath formed by both epithelial and connective tissue. That's our hair follicle. 4, less numerous type of sweat producing gland, mainly found in pubic and axillary. So A for axillary, P for pubic, A, P, apocrine at puberty. Okay, apocrine. 5, primarily dead keratinized cells to response from the key hair. So we're looking for hair and nails. Dead keratinized cells, your hair and your nails. 6, specialized nerve endings that respond to temperature and touch, etc. So our cutaneous receptors. 7, secretes a lubricant for hair and skin. This is our oil or our sebaceous gland. Number 9, describe 2 integumentary system mechanisms that help regulate body temperature. So in capillary, our blood flow to the skin is enhanced by nervous system controls. Heat radiates from the skin. So when we get kind of flushed or red face, our blood is towards the surface. And so the sweat on our skin can cool more blood because there's more blood at the surface. Okay, so restriction of blood flow conserves the body heat is the flip side. Okay, so that blood's going to go deeper into our internal body. 2, activity of our sweat glands. When perspiration evaporates from the skin, that surface or that heat from our surface is lost. 10, several structures of the hair are listed below. Identify each by matching its letter with the appropriate area on the photomicrograph here. So we're going to look here and place them here. So this right here is going to be the medulla. Now we see medulla in other areas of the body, like medulla oblongata or medullary tissue. That's going to be middle. This is that middle area here. Okay. The cortex is going to be around that medulla area. Okay, so the cortex. Cuticle even further out. Okay. We see the hair matrix and the hair papilla right there. Next page. Plotting the distribution of sweat glands. And so plotting our distribution of our sweat glands. 11. With what substance in the bond paper does iodine painted on the skin react? Okay. That's going to be the starch. 12. Based on class data, which skin area, forearm or palm of the hand, has more sweat glands? Our palm. We know that we have sweaty palms when we get nervous, right? So yes, that's pretty much expected. Explain, for most people, hands will sweat more than our forearms. Which other body areas would, if tested, prove to have a high density of sweat glands? Our face and our armpit or axilla. 13. What organ system controls the activity of the eccrine sweat glands? Nervous system controls and coordinates every single aspect of our body. Sympathetics are synonymous with your fight or flight. Okay, so parasympathetic would be your rest and digest. So sympathetic division of our nervous system. Dermography, fingerprinting. What can fingerprints be used to identify individuals? Well, because everyone's fingerprints are genetically distinct. 15. Name the 3 common fingerprint patterns: loops, arches, and whorls. 16. Henna tattoos are temporary tattoos that last about 2 weeks. Hypothesize why henna tattoos do not last as long as permanent tattoos. Well, henna tattoos utilize a superficial application and only stain or color the cells of the epidermis. The color fades and disappears as the cells are pushed to the surface and slough off of the skin and are replaced. This is not the case with permanent tattoos, as the ink is injected into the dermal layer of the skin using a needle, where it's retained for a much longer time. 17. Vitiligo is a disorder in which the pigmentation of the skin is uneven, resulting in white patches. Recent research suggests that vitiligo might be an autoimmune disorder. Which cells would you expect to be most affected and why? Answer. The pigment cells of the skin, or melanocytes, are the cells most likely being affected. Number 18. Keratinase is an enzyme. So we see ASE at the end of a word. We know that's an enzyme. Okay. So it's an enzyme produced by dermatophytes. Which organs in the body would these pathogenic fungi tend to proliferate in and why? Well, dermatophytes cause infections of the skin, hair, and nails, obtaining nutrients from keratinized material. They would be most active in the outer cornified layers of dead skin cells, where they are less likely to be identified and destroyed by active dendritic immune cells. Excellent. That concludes your homework answer key for Chapter 7, pages 99 through 102.